Welcome back to the sanctuary for those who crave nuance over noise, whispers of Turkish stars. We live in an era addicted to speed, where stories are clipped into captions and complex lives are flattened into headlines. Yet some narratives resist compression, they breathe in the pauses and murmur in what goes unsaid. Tonight we venture into a phenomenon that has seized the imagination of Turkish showbiz watchers and far beyond, a tale stitched together from glances, ellipses, and carefully curated quiet. We step into the intricate, shimmering orbit of Mert Demir and Afra. From the outset, an invitation: if layered storytelling is your ritual, make sure you're subscribed to Whispers of Turkish Stars. And for those who want to help us keep our deep dives as meticulous as they deserve to be, the join button is your portal into a tighter circle of support. Your commitment buys us the time to investigate with care and to tell these stories with the patience they demand. Now, let us follow the light and shadow cast by two of the screen's most magnetic presences. They were the pair who commandeered conversation and broke viewing records as the beating heart of a series that traveled under different titles as it crossed borders, reborn in every territory it conquered. Around them, a galaxy of speculation spun relentlessly. The question hanging over audiences from Istanbul to Santiago was deceptively simple. Did the charged, wild tenderness written for their characters make its way through the camera, slip beyond the boundary of fiction, and settle, quietly but irrevocably, into their real lives? Here on Whispers of Turkish Stars, we are not here to chase rumors, we are here to sift. We brush away the dust, examine what flickers between words, and ask where performance ends and human truth begins. From their very first table read, there was an undeniable sizzle in the room, that almost audible hum when two actors lock into a rhythm bigger than rehearsal notes and blocking diagrams. Scenes seemed to breathe on their own, eye contact carried a half-second of afterglow even after the director called cut, and off-camera, their ease suggested familiarity that felt older than first-day introductions. When art feels this alive, the border between character and person blurs for the public. And once that line fades, it's nearly impossible to color it back in. Then came an article that mapped out a trail of low-key dinners and stealthy escapes from the city's impatient pulse. Believe every detail or don't, the spark in the report alone was enough to reignite the discussion with volcanic force. Fragments of that piece leapt from platform to platform, translated, misquoted, half-remembered, and endlessly shared. Wherever their series had a home, the discourse found oxygen. Before we parse the meanings of that leak, I want to pass the mic to you, the heartbeat of Whispers of Turkish Stars. Did you notice the breadcrumbs before the rest? Does the report confirm what your intuition already decided? Tap like if you cherish deliberateness, pause to weigh the pieces, then flood the comments with your theories. Time and again, your observations rival those of editors in corner offices. Clues began to look like constellations. A sunset on her stories matched the horizon line in his. A day later, same blush of light, same curve of the sea. A ceramic coffee cup with a thin, unmistakable crack appeared in her frame and resurfaced weeks afterward on his grid, as if it had migrated houses by accident or design. His public playlist opened with an obscure track, the very song they once teased each other about during a chaotic press day's blooper reel. These are not courtroom exhibits, but to their most devoted watchers they read like covert winks across a very crowded digital room. Inevitably, the interview circuit sharpened its questions. When pressed about the nature of their bond on screen and off, both moved like seasoned diplomats. There were enigmatic smiles, an economy of words, and an emphasis on craft, teamwork, trust, luck in finding a partner who elevated the material. "We've built something rare together," was a sentiment that floated more than once. No hard denial. No bold confession. Just the charged terrain between. That liminal space becomes a megaphone for speculation, and nobody understands that better than an audience trained by years of reading subtext. They move within a pressure cooker. Paparazzi prowl for a single frame that could tip the narrative on its head. Their inboxes overflow with unsolicited advice and stitched-together timelines. Global success lifted them to a higher altitude where the air thins and every breath, every word, every post, every pause adds weight to the scale. Silence becomes content. Absence becomes a headline. Let's talk fallout, or the striking lack of it so far. Neither Mert nor Afra currently parades a public partner, removing at least one layer of complication even if it doesn't erase the stakes. Families have opinions, management teams calculate timing, brands monitor resonance. Production companies worry that private storms, whether warm or turbulent, could roll in mid-shoot. The Turkish press, never afraid of drama's highest volume, has already toyed with phrases like clandestine meetings and forbidden love, as if reality is obliged to mimic the heartbeat of a soap. Professionally, the implications are double-edged. Their shared project was a hinge in both of their careers, flinging doors open worldwide and cementing them as headliners. If this love story is real and steps into the light, it could rocket their combined profile even higher, luring international offers from those desperate to recapture that lightning. But the risk is the mirror image of that promise. What if they become a single narrative in the public mind, their range clouded by the gravitational pull of a romantic myth? For some audiences, real-life echoes of fiction are irresistible. For others, boundaries must remain steel. Before we pull apart their body language, a quick reminder: supporting Whispers of Turkish Stars via the join button lets us keep mapping these complex dynamics with the care they deserve. It keeps the lens steady, even when the room spins. Meanwhile, social media keeps beating like a hidden drum. The same location tag, sprinkled into each of their timelines within hours of each other. A particular wristwatch glimpsed on his arm in a candid, then reflected in a mirror selfie she posted a week later. Comments exchanged that steered deliberately clear of any explicit romance yet radiate a warmth that refuses to disguise itself fully. No single tile proves the mosaic, but every tile makes the image harder to dismiss. There's another wrinkle you can feel more than measure: the difference between their joint interviews and their solo ones. Sit them side by side and their rhythms synchronize without effort. They drift into shared laughter quickly, hand each other the sentence when one loses a word, and make space so seamlessly it becomes invisible. Interviewed alone, they are generous, careful, but slightly guarded, as if an invisible leash tugs back certain syllables. Put them together and their shoulders fall half an inch in relief. It's not a confession, it's a climate. And climate writes its own script. Step back, and a shape emerges, the outline of a soft admission without a typographic declaration. There is smoke enough to draft several chapters of poetry. Ask about boundaries and you'll hear professionalism. Watch their eyes and you'll see the adjectives they don't say. When a journalist pushes too hard, they answer with gentleness, choosing evasive grace over a hard line that might later feel brittle. It is the language of people who know that the most important truths rarely shout. But here's the caution. Spotlights can scorch. Joy, once private, becomes shareable in a heartbeat, and hearts are not episodes to be consumed on demand. They owe the audience the best of their craft, but not the architecture of their inner lives. Loving what they build on screen includes respecting what they seal off from view. So is this confirmation? In the world we study, confirmations rarely arrive as signed statements, they materialize as mosaics assembled from fragments. A magazine report of quiet meetings. Posts that dovetail too neatly to feel random. A measured silence. Interviews that leave smiles to hover a second longer than necessary. Stack the tiles and the picture reads like a yes. Not a publicist's press release kind of yes, not yet, but the yes of two people permitting the world to adjust to a new alignment. The aftershocks are already rippling. Campaigns lean into their combined allure. Platforms re-promote their series with their faces front and center. International blogs echo the Turkish headlines. Local talk shows wrestle with how far is too far. Fans pile into threads with hope, with protectiveness, with rules of etiquette written in real time. This is fame's usual choreography, and at the center stand Mert Ramazan Demir and Afra Sarıkaglı poised, measured, choosing each response like a move in a delicate dance. Ask us here at Whispers of Turkish Stars what we believe, and we'll admit we're romantics with grounded feet. The idea that the electricity we all felt on screen vaulted the fourth wall and took root behind it is intoxicating. Together, they are a study in contrast and harmony, heat and quiet, silver and fire. They fill a frame so completely that the edges evaporate. If the day comes when they step onto a red carpet hand in hand and confirm what so many already feel, the internet won't just buzz, it will flicker like a city grid at midnight. And if all we ever receive is this extended, artful almost, then that, too, is a story worth keeping, because sometimes the nearly is as haunting as the arrival. Thank you for joining this long inhale and exhale through one of entertainment's most compelling dynamics. You've been watching Whispers of Turkish Stars. If this deep dive resonated, consider clicking join to become an official member. Your support powers the care we pour into every frame and every word. Liking, commenting, and subscribing are other ways to keep this space vibrant and thoughtful. Until next time, stay curious, stay tender with the mysteries, and remember, we're here, whispering with you, for Whispers of Turkish Stars.